65. Roman Sabbath, 15th to 16th of the 771C. This subject is based on the Last Testament covenant. Last Testament was a covenant of blood, death, human sacrifice, and sanctification. At 10 a.m., Andrew was the first Jew who was sanctified. Jeremiah 17:22. And do not bring out any burden from your houses on the Sabbath day, nor do any work, but sanctify the Sabbath day as I commanded your fathers. In this context, sanctify was to keep the Sabbath day holy. Simon took up the cross. He worked on Sabbath day. Matthew 12:1. At that time, Jesus went on the Sabbath day through the grain fields, and his disciples became hungry and began to pick ears of grain and eat. Jews were starved. They picked ears of grains on the way to crucifixion. Nehemiah 13:17. Then I contended with the nobles of Judah and said to them, what is this evil thing that you are doing, profaning the Sabbath day? Simon and Jews accused of working on Roman Sabbath. He carried the cross. Hebrews 10:29. By how much do you think he will be thought worthy of worst punishment, who has trampled underfoot the Son of God, and has considered the blood of the covenant by which he was sanctified a common thing, and has insulted the Spirit of grace? Jewish law was Last Testament. It was a covenant of blood, death, sacrifice, and sanctification. Isaiah 28:15. Because you have said, we have made a covenant with death, and with Sheol we have made an agreement. When the overflowing scourge pass through, it will not come upon us, for we have made falsehood our refuge, and have hidden ourselves in deception. 16th of the 771C. Jewish law was a covenant of death. Exodus 31:16. Therefore the children of Israel shall keep the Sabbath, to observe the Sabbath throughout their generations as a perpetual covenant. 16th of the 771C. Jews shall keep Jewish and Roman Sabbaths of complete rest. Nehemiah 9:14. And you made known to them your holy Sabbath, and prescribed commandments and statutes and a law for them through Moses your servant. 16th of the 771C. Roman law overruled Jewish law. Deuteronomy 5:12. Keep the Sabbath so as to sanctify it, as Jehovah your God has commanded you. 16th of the 771C. The seventh day of 7 days of Sabbath, sanctification. 16th of the 771C. This Roman Sabbath was a Sabbath of sanctification. All Jews were sanctified. Nehemiah 13:21. But I testified against them and said to them, why do you spend the night in front of the wall? If you do so again, I will lay hands on you. From that time on, they did not come on the Sabbath. Simon was buried outside the wall. 16th of the 771C. Simon did not come to Sabbath. He was dead. Exodus 16:23. And he said to them, this is what Jehovah has spoken. Tomorrow is a Sabbath of complete rest, a holy Sabbath to Jehovah. Bake what you will bake, and boil what you will boil, and all that is left over, put aside for yourself to be kept until the morning. 16th of the 771C. Sabbath of complete rest in death. Hebrews 10:10. By which we will have been sanctified through the offering of the body of Jesus Christ once for all. 1 Peter 3:18. For Christ also has suffered once for sins, the righteous on behalf of the unrighteous, that he might bring you to God, on the one hand, being put to death in the flesh, but on the other hand, made alive in spirit. 16th of the 771C, all Jews sanctified. Covenant of sanctification ratified. This was Vespasian's vision. John 17:19, and for their sake I sanctify myself, that they themselves also may be sanctified in truth. Simon sacrificed himself so that Jews can be made holy in Roman law. Galatians 2:20, I am crucified with Christ, and it is no longer I who live, but it is Christ who lives in me, and the life which I now live in the flesh, I live in faith, the faith of the Son of God, who loved me and gave himself up for me. 15th of the 771C, Last Supper. Titus was alive. Simon was sanctified. The life of Simon lived in Titus. Simon became a life-giving spirit. Romans 6:6. Knowing this, that our old man has been crucified with him in order that the body of sin might be annulled, that we should no longer serve sin as slaves. Jewish law was crucified with Simon, that the entity of sin, Jewish law, stopped, so that no one should practice Jewish law. Ephesians 5:26, that he might sanctify her, cleansing her by the washing of the water in the word. Sanctified is to be cleansed by Roman law. Romans 8:10, but if Christ is in you, though the body is dead because of sin, the spirit is life because of righteousness. Simon died because of Jewish law. Roman law gave life. Genesis 2:3, and God blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, because in it he rested from all his work which God had created and made. 16th of the 771C, seventh day of Roman Sabbath, sanctification. Hebrews 2:11, for both he who sanctifies and those who are being sanctified are all of one, for which cause he is not ashamed to call them brothers. Titus sanctified Jews. He became a Jew of the same family. Titus called Jews brothers. Hebrews 2:14, since therefore the children have shared in blood and flesh, he also himself in like manner partook of the same, that through death he might destroy him who has the might of death, that is, the devil. Titus shared in Jewish culture to destroy Jewish law. Hebrews 7:27, who does not have daily need, as the high priest do, to offer up sacrifices first for his own sins and then for those of the people. For this he did once for all when he offered up himself. The sacrifice of Simon and Jews were for the practice of Jewish law. Hebrews 9:14, how much more will the blood of Christ, who through the eternal Spirit offered himself without blemish to God, purify our conscience from dead works to serve the living God. Titus became the Messiah from Simon's sanctification. Hebrews 9:28, so Christ also, having been offered once to bear the sins of many, will appear a second time to those who eagerly await him, apart from sin, unto salvation. Simon was sanctified to discourage others from the practice of Jewish law. Hebrews 10:12, but this one, having offered one sacrifice for sins, sat down forever on the right hand of God. Simon was sanctified. Titus became the Messiah. Hebrews 10:14, For by one offering he has perfected forever those who are being sanctified. After Simon was sanctified, all Jews were sanctified. Hebrews 13:12. Therefore also Jesus, that he might sanctify the people through his blood, or suffered outside the gate. Simon was sanctified to make others holy. He was executed outside the city. 1 Peter 2:24. Who himself bore up our sins in his body on the tree, in order that we, having died to sins, might live to righteousness, by whose bruise you were healed. Simon died with Jewish law. 1 Peter 3:18. For Christ also has suffered once for sins, the righteous on behalf of the unrighteous, that he might bring you to God, on the one hand being put to death in the flesh, but on the other made alive in the spirit. Simon was sanctified to make Titus the Messiah. Exodus 13:2. Sanctify to me all the firstborn, whatever opens the womb among the children of Israel, both of man and of beast, it is mine. Kill all Jews. 15th of the 771C, all Jews sanctified. 16th of the 771C, Sabbath of sanctification. This was a Sabbath to celebrate the sanctification of Jews on 15th of the 771C. Daniel 2:1. And his sleep left him. Ezekiel 11:24. So the vision that I had seen left me. 16th of the 771C. Vespasian's dreams left him. It was destruction of Jews.